Hey everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets, your source for Second Amendment news. This week we had another victory for the Second Amendment. I hope this is a continuing trend because I like the positive momentum, but this is going to be challenged as well. In Washington, D.C., there's a case called Wren, W-R-E-N-N, versus D.C. I'll have a link in the description of the case if you wanted to read it, but I'll surmise it. Washington, D.C. had a good cause requirement for their licenses to carry concealed. And that good cause was basically whatever they deemed was good enough, and almost everybody was denied their Second Amendment rights in Washington, D.C. Now you remember right after the Scalise shooting in July, a bill was put up that would basically be a reciprocity bill for the Washington, D.C. area, for the district itself, because everybody who carries in their state then comes over the line of D.C. to go to work couldn't carry. So that was that's still brewing. I don't know if that's going to go anywhere, but the case itself, Wren versus D.C., made it all the way to the U.S. Court of Appeals, and on July, I believe it was July 25th, which was my birthday, they decided in a 2-to-1 ruling that the D.C. good cause requirement was in fact unconstitutional. Now, of course, that caused all the liberals to start crying, and their hearts started bleeding, and they were talking about impending chaos and doom and gloom, and how Washington, D.C. was going to become the OK Corral or the Wild Wild West. Now, we all know that didn't happen. It never does anytime a good constitutional law is backed. However, it didn't stop them. So they appealed. And what they appealed for was an en banc ruling, which was the full body, meaning every one of the judges for the D.C. Court of Appeals, and they were denied. Not one single judge wanted to see or hear this case again. They wanted the 2-to-1 ruling to stand, that the D.C. good cause requirement was in fact unconstitutional. That's good news. However, in the time that has elapsed from the 2-to-1 ruling until today, as I'm sitting here recording this, and they were just told to go screw yourself, we're not going to rehear this case, D.C. has not budged. They were told that what they're doing is unconstitutional. Shocker. But they're going to keep doing their unconstitutional rule, and they're denying basically everybody who puts in for a license to carry in the District of Columbia. So where do we sit today? We know that the law is unconstitutional, meaning it's supposed to be unenforceable. It means you don't have to follow it. But D.C.'s officials have told the D.C. Metro Police Department to keep going with this unconstitutional rule. And that also was extended this past Thursday. So when they got their official notice that the U.S. Court of Appeals in D.C. was not going to hear this case again, they were given a window. They had 7 days to either go with the ruling or decide that they were going to bump this up and appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, which is probably what they're going to do, because the liberals have to fight all the way to the end to realize that they've been wrong the whole frickin' time. So again, they have advised D.C. Metro PD to keep with this unconstitutional law, basically banning anybody from their Second Amendment right within the confines of the District of Columbia. Now, requests have been put out to the Washington, D.C. Metro Police Department on whether they're going to follow what they're being told illegally, to illegally enforce an unconstitutional law, or if they're just going to do what they're supposed to do and ignore that altogether and do what their oath says. But no comment has been reached as of yet. Shocker. So it is a victory for the Second Amendment. However, they're going to keep pushing this unconstitutional act until they're either told by the Supreme Court to go F themselves, or people do what they're supposed to do and ignore the law altogether. If the PD does what they're supposed to do and the citizens do what they're supposed to do, they're just going to go and cower and hide anyway and think of the next way to screw everybody they can. I thank you all for your time, and I appreciate your support. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. The button's right below. And this is where you're going to find the fastest Second Amendment news, right here on Guns and Gadgets. Until we see each other again, this is Jared. Be safe. Stay vigilant. Carry a weapon. Take care, everybody.